Hi friends, welcome to this new video. Today I'm gonna be shopping for some summer bulbs and tubers for my container garden. So I wanted to take you with me for some little plant shopping online to show you what I'm gonna be growing in my balcony garden this year, and also along the way to share with you a couple of tips to show you kind of how I'm planning my balcony garden for the season, what I take in consideration when buying plants. So hopefully you'll find some of these tips helpful, and maybe you'll find some ideas on what you can grow in your own garden this year. So let's begin. I'm gonna go directly on Farmers Gracie website. This is my go-to website for buying bulbs and tubers or berried perennials. I hardly ever try new websites because I have the worst luck ever. Like, whenever I try a new website, something always goes wrong. So I prefer to just stick with one website that I trust, that I know what I can expect from them. I know that they deliver on time, and I know that I will get what I paid for. So this isn't sponsored, this is just my go-to website. So first thing that I take in consideration when I shop for any plant, not only bulbs and tubers, is obviously sun exposure. You want to grow the right plant in the right place. So on Farmer Gracie and on many other websites, you can filter actually the plants by sun exposure. So as you can see here, we have full sun, partial shade, double shade, and full shade. So we talk about full shade when we have between 0 and 3 hours of direct sunlight. Then partial shade is 3 to 6 hours of direct sunlight, and full sun is above 6 hours of direct sunlight. Double shade means that maybe you have sun, but you have like a large tree in front of your balcony that casts shadow, so your plants get some sunlight, but at the same time it's kind of like a filter sunlight mixed with a little bit of shade, if that makes sense. So for me, I have areas that are in full shade, and then those spots that are close to the wall, they receive probably between 2 and 3 hours of sunlight, and those on the railing receive maybe even up to 5 hours of sunlight, probably like 4 or 5 hours of sunlight. That's why I get away with planting petunias in there. So in all cases, for me, that's partial shade and full shade, so I can filter the plants this way. And then the second thing that I take in consideration is color. Because my balcony is in the shade for most of the day, I try to avoid dark foliage and saturated colors, because these tend to visually disappear. I also stay away from hot colors, because hot colors like reds and oranges and bright yellows, we tend to associate those colors more with sunny areas, with tropical hot areas, rather than with shade. So I go for cooler tones like whites, blue, pinks and purples, but obviously you can do as you please. So first on my list for full shade is caladium. Absolutely love caladiums. They are amazing plants for shade, for part shade, and they also make great houseplants. You can start them early indoors and then transfer them on your balcony once the risk of frost has passed and once the temperatures are above 10 degrees Celsius, or you can start them directly outdoors sometime in May. I keep some tubers from year to year, but I would like to add some more. So for now I'm gonna just add a whole bunch of them to my wish list, and then at the end I'm gonna decide which ones I actually buy. But they're all just really beautiful accents, especially for shade. They provide a beautiful pop of color. Next plant for shade and partial shade that I really love is oxalis. I'm sure that many of you know Oxalis triangularis. It's a very popular houseplant. And they actually grow really well during summer on the balcony or on your terrace. So you can start them again early indoors and then transfer them outside, or just bring the pot outside. But you can also start them directly outdoors once the risk of frost has passed. And then another beautiful oxalis is this one, Oxalis Iron Cross. This one is frost hardy, so you can actually keep it as a perennial plant. I grew Oxalis Iron Cross a couple of years ago, but I didn't keep the tubers, unfortunately. Now, if you have between 2 and 3 hours of sunlight, I definitely recommend growing lilies. Lilies are such a beautiful addition to any garden. The only, let's say, downside to growing lilies is that they don't bloom for a really long time. Usually they bloom for about 2-3 weeks, and then they are done for the year. So here comes my third tip or third suggestion. So I would suggest planting, for example, one lily at the beginning of April or mid-April, depends when is your last frost date. Then maybe wait a couple of weeks and plant another one, wait a couple of weeks or even up to a month and plant the third one. This one you kind of stretch their blooming period and you can enjoy their blooms for a longer time. I have some lilies on my balcony as we speak. I kept some from previous years because they actually grow really well as perennials, and the older they are, the more beautiful they bloom. So I absolutely love Martagon lilies, Asiatic lilies. If you don't like the smell of lilies, I recommend Asiatic lilies. They bloom a little bit earlier and they usually don't have any scent. But if you don't mind the scent, then Oriental lilies are gorgeous. They have larger flowers. Martagon lilies are also beautiful and they make really great cut flowers. Lilium regale is such a stunner. I have it on my balcony and I kept it. I planted it last year for the first time and kept it until this year. Another one that I really loved and really enjoyed last year was a double lily, Lily Candy Blossom. Such a beautiful variety as well. So one plant that I am really excited to grow this year, and I never thought that I'm gonna be ordering these tubers while gardening on this balcony, is dahlias. I'm gonna be growing dahlias this year. So I tried dahlias in the past, never worked. I mean, dahlias, they need a lot of sunlight. 6 hours, that's like minimum to make them bloom really beautifully. I have maybe 3-4 hours on my balcony, as I mentioned, but the railing pots, they receive probably between 4 and 5 hours. So before, when I tried growing dahlias, I would just put them on the floor on my balcony somewhere randomly. They developed some healthy foliage, they produced some flower buds, but they never really bloomed. So I abandoned that idea of growing dahlias many years ago. But then last year, I actually got a bulb for free from a garden center. They were just like getting rid of bulbs and they asked me if I wanted to take some, so I took them. And that dahlia actually bloomed and it was my favorite plant last year. Like, this plant alone just brought me so much happiness. And what I did, so I overturned one pot, placed that dahlia pot on top of that other pot so that it can catch as much sunlight as possible. And I placed it as close to the railing pots as possible. They don't develop fully, like they still stay very short and they produce only like 3-4 flowers at a time. But I still enjoyed it really much and would like to give a try to some other varieties this year. The only problem is that they are also gorgeous. It's impossible to choose. I have place maybe for 3-4. I would gladly grow 200 of them if I had the place. Dahlia Wind-Eyed Jill definitely caught my eye. I mean, they are all just gorgeous. Wizard of Oz has been on my wish list forever. This orange one is also really beautiful. But as I said, I try to avoid hot colors. I mean, I make some exceptions sometimes, but this one is gorgeous. Beautiful. What else can we add to the wish list? This one is gorgeous. I mean, I love plants that are like pinkish purple or like creamy peachy colors. This is definitely my color preferences. This one is also very interesting. Dahlia Polka. Really like this one. I don't think I've ever seen anyone grow this one, like in real life, I mean. These also are really gorgeous. Okay, so I added a whole bunch of dahlias to my wish list, and now there's one more plant that I'm really excited to grow this year. I like to add some exotic plants to my garden from time to time. They grow really well in partial shade. You don't need a lot of sunlight to grow, for example, canna lilies, banana trees and stuff like that, begonias. But there's one plant that I've never tried, and I saw it for the first time in a botanical garden in Nice, in the south of France. Such a stunning plant, and it smells divine. So let me show you this plant. So this plant is called Hedychium, and I actually just realized that Farmer Gracie sells rhizomes of this plant, so I am super excited and I would love to give it a try. If any of you have ever tried growing this plant in a container, I would definitely appreciate some of your guys' tips or suggestions, because I've never tried this plant in my life, so no idea how it's gonna turn out, but I'm really curious to give it a try, so I'm gonna add it to my wish list. There are several different ones. I would prefer this one with green foliage and yellow flowers, because that's exactly the one that I saw in that botanical garden. So yeah, adding it to my wish list. Okay, and the last plant is Begonia. Begonia is my plant of the year for 2024, I swear. I've grown begonias for so many years, and it is only last year that I actually started to really appreciate this plant. Last year we had a crazy summer with crazy temperatures, like 40 degrees Celsius for weeks. And while all the other plants were just like barely hanging there, many plants, many annual flowers died. They just dried up and died. begonias, they didn't skip a beat. I don't know if any of you guys saw that video that I recorded last year on my in-laws balcony. They left for 1 week of holidays and no one was watering their plants. They came back, everything was dead except for begonias. Begonias were just like there blooming their heads off. They did not care that they were without water for 1 week in 40 degrees heat. Like when I saw this, I was like, I'm planting begonias on my balcony everywhere next year. So I had some begonias on my balcony and honestly they bloom from April all the way until first frost. They don't skip a beat. If you are searching for a plant that's low maintenance, that's blooming all summer long, that grows well in the shade, in partial shade and in full sun, begonia is your plant. So I'm definitely growing a lot of begonias in 2024, but I think I'm gonna stick more to wax begonias rather than tuberous begonias. Although tuberous begonias, as you can see here, are also really amazing. I grew this begonia angelique a couple of years ago, such a beautiful plant. This apricot is also really beautiful. So I'm gonna add a couple of them to this one. I had the golden balcony planted in a wicker basket. That was just such a stunning display. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna actually order any tuberous begonias because all of these are tuberous. I think I'm gonna stick to wax begonias this year. One last plant that I would like to add to my wish list is ranunculus. They have a really beautiful choice of ranunculus on Farmers Gracie website, but the problem is that they say that they ship their bulbs and tubers from ending February. And I would love to start my ranunculus earlier, and I also want to share with you in a video how to grow ranunculus. So I need them earlier. I need to start them early and then I would like to transplant them early on the balcony. But stunning choice, honestly. Such a shame that they don't ship ranunculus earlier. Okay, so I'm on Grand Bomo website and they have a really nice choice of ranunculus as well and they ship immediately. So I'm gonna pick some ranunculus here. This one is stunning. I think I'm gonna go with this pastel mix, this F1 pastel mix, because it has a lot of pinkish and white colors and these are also the colors that I chose for my spring bulbs. So if I plant ranunculus early, transplant it early on the balcony, maybe I can enjoy ranunculus and my spring bulbs quite around the same moment. So now I'm gonna think about this, what I wanna order, and I'm gonna show you my final shopping list. Okay, you guys, so I placed my order. Let me show you what I bought. So, as I mentioned, I bought one tuber, one bulb of this hedychium. I took some caladiums. I took 3 caladiums. I took caladium white queen, 3 bulbs, because as I mentioned, I want to grow some as houseplants and some outdoors. Then I took 1 caladium Florida Moonlight, a beautiful white one. I grew it already in the past and I absolutely loved it. And then caladium Spring Fling, 3 bulbs as well, because I'm gonna grow this some outside, some indoors. And then I took a couple of dahlias. I took Dahlia Caitlin's Joy, and then Dahlia Wine-Eyed Jill, and Dahlia Famoso. So this is my order on Farmer Gracie, and then on Grand Bomo I took that F1 pastel mix of ranunculus. Okay, you guys, so it's done. I'm really happy. I cannot wait to share with you how I'm gonna be planting all of these plants on my balcony, and then obviously to give you some updates during summer to show you how they grow, if they grow, how they bloom. Also, can we just offer 15 seconds of attention to my gorgeous Amaryllis? I was not able to show you any updates throughout my videos recently, but look at them. We planted them together, I think that was in November, and look how gorgeous they are. This is actually the second bloom stalk, and the first one was equally beautiful. And this other one, it's his first bloom stalk, but there's another one coming. So they bloom really beautifully. I was afraid that I'm gonna miss on this, because I was traveling in December and they were just starting to bloom when I left, but they waited for me and I can enjoy them now indoors. But anyway, this is gonna be it for today's video. Hope that you guys enjoyed it, hope that you found some ideas. Yeah, thanks so much for joining me today, and we'll see each other in the next video. Bye!